more people
Yeah.
are getting those emails saying, hey, let's see your bank statements, let's see your tax returns. And that's happening at lower stated income amounts more
Yeah.
frequently. Another thing is higher interest rates. Most people thought that because interest rates were falling last year, that we would see that change with the credit cards on the personal and business side, but they're actually holding steady. And we even saw reports about.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit. Super excited to bring you all yet another guest speaker. All right. Now, this young man has been on the channel before in the past, so he doesn't need a special introduction. Listen, we just know he doesn't have a lot of time. Get your notebooks out. He's most definitely going to be dropping some gems that you need to know in 2025. And without any further ado, I want to go ahead and bring up Mr. Cal Barton. Cal, can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, hear you loud and clear.
All right. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. Carving out time, not just from your business, but from your growing family as well, too. We greatly appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me, Calvin. Good to be back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. All right. So now let's get right into it. So did you mention that there are some major changes happening right now in 2025 with credit cards? Okay. Can you let us know what changes those are and what we should be looking out for?
Yeah, absolutely. The first major change is a tightening credit environment. So there's
Mm,
banks are becoming a little, more skittish. They are seeing a riskier environment, and they're making big moves to kind of tamp down. They're not approving as many people. They're approving people with lower credit limits, for example.
mm,
So previously, if you were approved, let's say with a $10,000 limit, with the same credit card profile, the same FICO score, they're going to give you a little bit less. So you're not
mm.
going to be able to see those large limits a lot of the time. Banks are just in this riskier environment.
Yeah.
They aren't willing to expose themselves as much to any one borrower. Another
Mm,
thing is higher credit score requirements. So, for example, the rule of thumb used to be if you have a 700 credit score or a 700 FICO score, then it would be just fine. You'd be pretty much a lock to get approved for most cards. Now that's not the case.
mm.
Banks are being less tolerant these lower FICO scores. So 720 and above now seems to be the new rule for most banks.
Mm.
And
Okay.
then stricter income verification. So typically banks work on a stated income basis. So when you fill out an application for a credit card, most of the time they're just going to go off that stated income and just accept that amount you write down as is.
Yeah.
If that amount is higher than, let's say, 200K, for
Yeah.
example, they're going to start being more scrutinizing, and they're going to want to actually ask you for proof of income more
Mm.
often. Yep.
Got you. Real quick, if you're looking for a way to lower your car payment with a soft pull, this means no effect on your credit score to see your interest rate in terms. If you decide to move forward, then they will do a hard pull. And they have competitive interest rates. And this is something that you can get an instant decision on right away. To learn more, scan the QR code or click the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Yeah, no, I was just going to say because not too long ago they didn't used to ask for like any type of income documents or anything like that, but you're starting to see a major increase in that.
There's a significant increase from
Mm,
the data points that I've seen. More people
yeah.
are getting those emails saying, "Hey, let's see your bank statements, let's see your tax returns,"
Mm,
and that's happening at lower stated income amounts more
yeah.
frequently.
Uh,
Another thing is higher interest rates. Most people thought that because interest rates were falling last year, that we would see that change with the credit cards on the personal and business side, but they're actually holding steady. And we even saw reports about store credit cards. They had record high interest
mm,
rates. I think it was like 35+% on some of them. And so
wow.
they're not lowering those interest rates just yet.
Yeah.
And what they see in the environment says that they got to hold. I think, one of the major things is that the default rates are still pretty high.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Mm,
you can see that people are in a lot of credit card debt still. I think it's
yeah.
past $1 trillion. So
Yeah.
they take all that into account.
Yeah, Absolutely. Man, I'm glad you brought that up as well too, because and not only that, credit cards are waiting on that, mortgages are waiting on that, auto loans are waiting on that, those interest rates to move. But if things don't look a certain way, they're not gonna, make those adjustments. And because of that, it's gonna affect it, when people get those credit cards and such. That's crazy. Wow. And then what are some other changes that you're seeing for 2025 with credit cards?
Yeah, so one trend that I noticed is that fintech cards they have been popular in, let's say the last 3 to 5 years,
Mhm.
but going to continue to be released.
Mm,
Cards like the Affirm Visa card, the Klarna credit card, the Hyper Card credit card, and
mm.
the Robinhood Gold card, which is a pretty big one that was just released. Those I anticipate that there are gonna be more entries into that fintech space,
Yeah.
and we're gonna see more of these startup companies, these, San Francisco-based style startup companies that are getting into fintech and making these partnerships with smaller banks and credit unions to launch their co-branded credit card.
Wow.
And this is huge news right here.
Yeah.
I think here, especially with Trump just winning the election,
Yeah.
he's gonna be very business focused, and he's gonna be willing to approve any acquisition and merger. That's my take. And
I
so
see where you're going.
Capital One and Discover
Yeah.
are slated to merge, and I believe that's gonna happen this year.
Yeah.
So definitely wanna look out for that. That's gonna affect millions of people if
That's
that
right.
merger takes place.
Yeah, I most definitely see that merger happening for sure. It wasn't enough to hold it back. They got the right administration that's in there as well too, like you said, especially with that heavy focus on business. And a lot of people, most definitely will be affected by that. And hopefully it goes into I see, hopefully just like the positive side of things. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out. I know it's most definitely going to help Capital One out for various reasons, and it's going to have a lot more products out there for out there for the people. So
Mm, mhm,
that'd be great, information to kind of just see how that whole thing unfolds as well. Now, also you mentioned too, even with all this talk about banking and banks and credit unions, financial institutions in general, you said that there's one bank that people need to stay away from. What do you feel that what that bank is and why
mhm,
that is? And again, this is
mhm.
it's huge to even say that. But what bank should people stay away from in 2025?
Well, this is gonna come to no surprise to most people, but it's Credit One Bank.
Mm,
I think that's been on
yeah,
probably the top of everybody's list for so many reasons. Even reason
yeah,
before I did a deep dive on them, I didn't
yeah.
even know how many shady and slick and conniving things that they were doing behind the
Wow.
scenes,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be Credit One. They do a host of things that are terrible,
Mm,
one of which is all the fees they charge for just
that's right.
basic credit card management. I mean, we're talking about things like express payment fees. So you can't just pay
Mm,
instantly that day like you're used to. You're gonna have
yeah.
to pay an extra fee, maybe it's $10 to actually pay that day.
That same
Otherwise, it's
day.
yeah, otherwise it's gonna be delayed by like a week. So
Mm,
that could be an extra charge if you're late on that
right.
side. Then you
Yeah.
got card replacement fees. So if you lose your card, which I'm sure a lot of people do, I don't do that, but I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people have an issue,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to pay for that new piece of plastic. Then they have fees for selecting a custom design. So when maybe you
Mm,
have a Discover It card, you can just select whatever design
that's
you want
right.
for
For
free,
free.
but not with this card. I believe they even have a fee for raising your credit limit.
They
S
do.
yeah.
They do.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
shady.
Yeah.
Uh
You know, and then also too, I want to add to that, they have they still have their non-usage fee. And someone like
mm,
yourself, you will probably never see this. And some people don't see this because they do keep some type of frequency and when they use the card, but they have a 8.99 or 9.99 non-usage fee. So if you have a zero balance, not if you have a balance and it carries
mhm.
over, but if you have a zero balance for one
Wow.
month, you get charged for having a zero balance. It's crazy.
Oh my god. Real quick sidebar.
Yeah.
I got an email from Grasshopper Bank. They do business
Mm,
checking accounts,
okay.
and because I haven't used it in 10 months, they said there's gonna be a monthly $5 non-usage fee. I couldn't believe
What?
it. That's the first time I received an email
Yeah.
like that. Watch out
Wow.
for companies that behave that way. I asked them to immediately close my account. I don't wanna have to do business
Yeah,
with them.
like, right, you're not gonna force me to use this. This makes no sense. Like, it's a privilege. Like, stop. Stop.
I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want a zero balance account and you want that exposure, just say you're going to close the account. Don't
Yeah.
try to do something. Just you're
Yeah, right.
threatening me.
Pretty much trying to paint you into a corner, saying if you don't do this and then we're gonna do this, like I have an
Yeah.
alternative here. We just gonna close this. We gonna shut this whole thing down. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um,
okay. Go
But
ahead.
as far as credit one goes, another thing they
Yeah.
do is it's impossible to cancel. So people
Yeah.
find that they have to call in 1, 2, 3 times and they have to
Hmm.
stay on the phone for God knows how long, 10, 15 minutes to go through the process with a customer
Hmm.
service rep to actually cancel the card.
Yeah.
Um, it's just terrible.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
and then there's predatory practices, like they
Yeah.
will send out promotional offers in a letter, and it'll seem like they're sending you a credit card, but
Yeah.
it's
But
actually a fake credit card to get you to use the limit that they're
that's right.
advertising so that
Yep.
they kind of lock you in to
Yeah.
signing up, and then a heart pull and everything goes along with that. So
Yep.
that's terrible.
If you're looking for a personal loan option that looks at more than your credit score, and you're looking for something that has a soft pull to see the terms and the monthly payments and such, go ahead and scan this QR code or click the link in the description below to learn more. Now back to the video.
And then I would say the last thing is gonna be false advertising.
Okay.
So one thing and is they have a very similar logo to Capital One. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really for most people who are not in this space, it's almost indistinguishable. You do one glance and you
Yeah.
think they're the same logo. They're not the
Yeah.
same. They have no relation to each
Right.
other, no business with each other.
That's on purpose too, though, man. Because you know what? Back in the, I don't even say back in the day. Even with today, like they, neither one of them has really changed their logos. They've changed like the color scheme a little bit, but you don't know right off the bat. You hear things like Capital One, then Credit One. Like that's it. They could have easily had chosen a different name. The fonts are similar. The
Mhm.
swoosh around the design is similar, so they knew what they were doing for sure. It's the same market. I mean, everyone has always gotten a Capital One card. They most definitely have been hit with a Credit One offer, and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that there is some relation between these. There's some
Mm.
sort of agreement because there's too many similarities. They do
Yeah,
target an overlapping part of the market, subprime
they do. They do.
consumers.
Yeah.
So they have a similar logo. They target subprime consumers. That to me, I would think that would be grounds for a lawsuit if one
Mm.
company didn't want the
Yeah,
other to, you know, ruin the name or the good
that's
image.
right. That's right.
So
You know, I could see that. And I was thinking the same thing, but with two other companies. And this is like deep subprime, first premier and first progress.
okay.
So yeah, a lot of the setup looks very similar. The name, I mean, obviously it's so many names you can have, but it's like, come on, like, especially when you all are kind of in the same pool, that puts you at Capital One, Credit One, First Progress, First Premier. Like they're
Mhm.
all in the same boat. It's not a lot of credit card companies that that will give people credit when their scores are like under 600. So it's really the same kind of batch, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure. Yep. And there was another thing I want to talk to you about as well too. You had mentioned that there were like credit card companies that would essentially show you your credit limit before you even apply. Now, what credit cards are those? Because I know people are going to have that question in 2025. So what companies are those?
Oh, absolutely. And this landscape always changes, so I'm always
Yeah.
doing updates on a kind of a monthly basis.
Okay.
And what I've noticed before we even get started is that
Yeah.
these credit card companies will change their marketing and depending on how many signups they want to get. And so
Mhm.
you'll see if you go to the same page, sometimes there's a card that didn't previously give you that ability. Will have
Mm.
a button that says, "Hey, see your limit" before you
Yep.
apply with a soft pull. And
Yeah.
so they'll just randomly in the middle of the night decide to make that update. But the first one is going to be the Zabel credit card with a Z. A lot of people haven't heard this credit card. It's one of those UK kind of British companies that made
Mm.
the transition a few years back,
Wow.
and they're trying to establish themselves in the United States. Similar to Capital on Tap, you notice Capital on Tap
Yep.
on the business side, they have a UK division, but they operate as well in the US. So Zabel, it's more of a starter card. You probably get a lower limit. I think I was pre-approved for $500. But if you go to
Okay.
Zabel, you can see your limit with a soft pull of your credit.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Got that one.
And then Bread Rewards American Express credit card.
Mm.
So Bread is actually what they are is a credit card company and bank, but also they're a third party underwriter. So you'll notice that they handle the credit card programs for many different banks and brands. So other
Yeah.
companies similar to Synchrony Bank or
Yeah.
Elon Financial, but they have one credit card that's branded by Bread. It works on the American Express payment network,
Okay.
and you can see your credit limit with just a soft pull.
Okay.
And you don't want to get this confused because I did this. They actually have two different cards. They have one
Mm,
that's a 2% flat rate catch-all card, and then they have
okay.
the Bread Rewards card that has gives you like a 3% back in specific categories. So just
Wow.
be aware of that.
Okay.
Then there's a GM Rewards card. Now, GM recently changed hands from being issued by Goldman Sachs. Now they're issued by Barclays.
Mm,
Yeah, they were issued by Barclays.
okay.
So you may see a difference in approval rates and limits, but um, with the GM card, typically you can still get approved with just a soft pull. So that what I'm seeing
Wow.
in the past is that you can actually get fully approved with just soft pull, but um, sometimes if you lock
Yeah.
your credit report, but they will send you an email with when you apply for pre-approval, they will send you an email that shows your starting limit. Now,
Wow.
moving on to Apple Card. This Apple Card is very well known. Uh,
Wow.
that millions. It's probably the most popular card on this list.
Yeah.
Uh, they still one of their bright spots is that they will show your starting limit with just as
Wow.
stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Then
Okay.
here's another big card that a lot of
Okay.
people don't they don't even know about this company. It's really kind of flown under the radar the last
Yeah.
decade. They've been around for a long time. It's Upgrade. Upgrade
Mm.
Upgrade
Yeah.
has a very interesting lineup of credit cards
Yeah.
because they do this hybrid approach where most of their other credit cards are reported as installment loans,
Yeah.
and then they don't act as a traditional credit card. But this one does, but if you want to avoid interest, you have to set up auto pay and they have to pull it out every single day. Now, some people may
Mhm.
like that because a lot of people really swear by paying their credit card off after every transaction or every single week. So this might be good for you, but you want to focus on the upgrade one card. You can get approved for that, which is a
Okay.
soft, or you can get pre-approved, see your limit, which is a softball.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
then we have the N1 Finance Owner's Rewards card. Now, this
Mm.
one's a little tricky because this one will only make sense if you want to do business with N1 and you want to trade on their platform, their brokerage account.
Okay.
But if you're already a member with them, this one's kind of no-brainer. You can get some quick personal credit by applying for this card. I believe I was pre-approved for 7,000 to 8,000 a
Wow.
few months
Okay.
ago. So that's a good one to try out. Now, this is a card I actually have. This next one, it's called the Avon credit card. This
Mm.
one's also a little different because
Okay.
you need to have a mortgage. You need to be a homeowner
Okay.
to access this card.
Okay.
Um,
And how you spell that?
AVEN.
Got it. Okay. I thought so. Okay. Got it.
Yep,
Okay.
Avon credit card. So I was pre-approved at first for
Yeah.
$30,000,
Wow.
30K.
Okay. Okay.
It's based on the value of your home. I believe you can get approved up to $250,000
Wow.
depending on the value of your home. That process did take about a week and a half to 2 weeks just because there's several steps to go through. One,
Okay.
they have to underwrite it using your home. You have to send in
Mhm.
documents associated with your, home
Your
loan and
address.
things.
Wow.
But initially, within about 5 minutes, you can get pre-approved and see that limit first. And
Yeah.
and the good thing, a lot of people complain about this, is that
Yeah.
sometimes, especially with credit unions, they will give you a pre-approval limit and they won't
Okay.
hold to that. So maybe you get pre-approved for
Mm.
20,000, and then once you
Yeah.
actually finally get approved, you'll get like 5K. So
Mm.
thankfully, with the car so far, that's not the case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Any other banks outside of those?
So there's three credit unions.
Wow.
One, three credit unions. Patelco Points Rewards Card, all their credit cards. That's a California-based credit
Okay.
union. You can get approved. You are eligible to sign up with that credit union outside of California, but you
Okay.
just I believe it's the Financial Fitness Association. You just
Okay.
have to join a nonprofit. I think it's $15 to join, and then
Okay.
you can actually become a member. Their cards go up to $50,000
Okay.
on limit on personal side, which is pretty remarkable because most
Okay.
cards will max out at 25K outside of like Navy Federal, something like that. Yeah, so that card you can see your amount. I think I was pre-approved for 15K. Then Nassau Federal Credit Union,
Okay.
they have two cards. You can see you can get pre-approved there with a soft pull. I was pre-approved for 20K. They had a big rollout, and so if you
Yeah.
listened earlier in this video, I mentioned banks and credit unions and financial institutions are going to change their requirements and
Yeah.
criteria and how they
Absolutely.
operate. So sometimes there'll be a big push for getting signups. So they'll
Right.
basically open the floodgates. So they'll open up release the purse strings, and
Yep.
they're handing out 25K. Everybody's getting 25K.
Yep.
Here's something that just happened to me that I've seen in the space that kind of shocked me was I saw a credit union that was giving out $25,000 approvals, and they were approving people nationwide.
Yeah.
And then all
Mm.
of a sudden, it was happening all last year, all 2024. They were approving people, and then once December hit, they stopped. They said
Mm.
only in New York can you become a member of this credit union. So
Mm.
that made me realize, that they can just open up shop and
Yeah.
then shut it down at will.
Instantly. Wow.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. Now the last credit union is Dover Federal Credit Union.
Dover. Got it.
Yeah, you can apply nationwide just like the last two, and they have I believe it's a check your rate button, and
Yeah.
you can with a soft pull see your starting limit from there.
Okay. Got you. Wow. Man, first off, want to say, man, we greatly appreciate you doing the research on all of these things. And of course, many of these banks you actually have a personal relationship with or have their products, so you know firsthand. But staying on top of these types of things, because these are questions that people ask. Like they say, man, you know what? I want to get a credit card. And I notice usually the sounds like not like many of these credit cards were not necessarily like super big banks, because they get so many applications, it would almost increase their risk factor if they did something like that. But in this case, these are people saying, hey, listen, we'll let you know if what this potentially could be close to, or for sure. So I think that works out pretty good, for sure. Man, thanks again, for stopping by the channel and just dropping all the information as well. And then listen to everyone that's watching this. Listen, if you want us to bring Kyle back, let us know in the comment section below. He most definitely has a lot of videos on his channel that talks about not just, of course, banks and credit unions, but mainly credit cards, and getting you all that information and answering those questions that many of you all have as well. Is there anything, Cal, that you would like to leave the audience
Mhm.
with before we wrap up today?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really like to give everybody access to this working list that I've been working on month after month that has
Okay.
all these banks in it plus more. Right now, I have over 60 plus banks and credit cards on that list. So
Yeah,
you can leave a link below this video if you'd like. Give them
absolutely.
for free. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, you guys heard it directly from Cal, so make sure you guys go ahead and check out that link as well too. I'll make sure it's in there when this video drops as well too. But thanks again, Cal. We greatly appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.